Let's talk divs, because everything is divs. Everything is always a div. All right, let's make some divs here. I'm going to make 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And I'm lazy, so I will just name the first div 1. I will give the second div an ID of 2, if I can type that properly. And ID 3. 3 divs. Divs are just sections on your web page, but I cannot see these divs because they are very, very small. In fact, they're basically 0. So let's see these 3 divs. So what I can do is I can give some height to these divs all at once. So let's say the height is, I don't know, 300 pixels. Can I see them now? No, I still can't see them because they don't have a background color. So let's quickly give them each a distinct color. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. Div 1, div 2, div 3. Let's make one red. Let's use the primary colors. Why not? And ta-da, there we go. It looks like I've created some type of flag. Now, divs are block elements, which means they will span the entire width of your web page. They take up that entire space. And it doesn't matter how wide they really are, they will always take up the entire width of your web page. For example, if I said the width of these 3 divs to be 300 pixels, it only looks like they're 300 pixels wide, and in essence they are, but they're block elements. So that's why this div goes right under. It doesn't go over here because this div is a block element. It's taking up that entire line. So what could we do there? Well, I don't know if we've talked about this yet. Div 1, div 2, div 3, they are block elements, but I could display them on my web page as if they were inline block elements, kind of like an image. And if I do that, what will happen is those 3 divs will take advantage of all of that empty space. And instead of them requiring and hogging an entire line to themselves, they will share the empty space that is not being occupied on a line. So now I get these divs side by side, which is really nice because websites have a lot of contents not in a descending order. Websites have a lot of stuff going on side by side horizontally. So it's nice to be able to have this this property. All right, so there's 3 divs and they're colored, and I can do whatever I want to these divs. I can put some pictures, I can put text in them, yada yada. I can't really do much else. Well, you know what I could do is I could give them some space between each other. So for example, let's say they're too close, they're too tight. I could hit them with the old, not border right, margin right. And I can give them some space, I can give them a little gap. But that's kind of really all I can do with these divs right now. Unless, here's kind of the new part of the video. I'm going to take these 3 divs and I'm going to put them inside a div. Crazy. So I'm going to take that closing tag, I'm going to wrap it around these 3 divs and maybe indent it so you can see that this div now has 3 divs inside it. I got 3 divs inside a div. And convention, whenever you throw divs into another div, we typically call that div the container. Much like a div is a container in itself, it makes sense to call a div that contains other containers kind of the container. That was a bit complicated, but hopefully you can see. At least you can see I've got 3 divs inside one big div. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, if I throw divs inside a container and my divs are block elements, could I not hit my container div with the old text align style? Text align is a block level style. It only works for block elements. It centers things on your web page. So this is saying everything in the container, we're going to center it within the div. Just got to save some stuff. And now all of my divs, my 3 divs, are centered on my web page. And it doesn't matter how big my window is. Doesn't matter if I'm on a phone. I get 3 divs nicely centered, just like that. Because divs are block elements, and I can style my container so that everything that's inside it is aligned at the center. So it makes your website look a little better. And I think the only other thing I want to talk about is let's throw something inside this div, okay? So I've got these empty divs. Let's look at my green div, div number 1. I'm going to throw an image in here. See what happens. Something not good is going to happen. All right, I threw an image in there and it just completely frigged up my entire website. Divs are misaligned, yada, yada, yada. Maybe it's because my image is too big. You can see that it's a pretty big image. Maybe that's the problem. It's not, but maybe it is. So I'm going to set the width of this image to be 20 pixels or 30 pixels. Nice small image sitting nicely inside my div, but it's pushed my div down. And a lot is going on here, and the background color of the divs are not doing a good job of explaining what's going on. Basically, this image has inserted a new line for the div, the green div, the entire div to go on. Like, there's a lot going on here, and I'm not even going to try to pretend like I can explain it concisely and properly. So, you know what you do when that happens? Is you hit your div. So, for example, div 1, or I've got all my divs right here. You hit it with a vertical align top. So all of the content that we throw inside of a div or multiple divs, whichever ones we're specifying, will I almost used the word float. I shouldn't use that word. Will be aligned at the top, and therefore will not create this unnecessary line that basically pushes your div down. So as long as the content you throw in a div has this property applied to it, your divs will stay nice and where they are. Now you might run into an issue once you get to the bottom of the div, possibly. Actually, probably not. You should be okay. So there you go. There's how you can center divs on the same line and put content inside of your divs without messing up the shape of your divs. Pretty cool.